You can have the most well-designed product on earth, but it will mean nothing if nobody cares. In the early 2000s, Apple's share of the PC market was consistently under 5% globally. Apple was facing an uphill battle against the dominance of Microsoft. Windows PCs were the default choice for most households, educators, and businesses. Their robust support and compatibility with legacy systems made it a no-brainer for consumers. Apple, on the other hand, had perception issues. For example, Macs were perceived as overpriced compared to Windows PCs, which offered a wide range of hardware options at various price points. There's also compatibility concerns. Many consumers believe that Macs can't even run popular software, especially Microsoft Office. And one more thing, there's also lack of gaming support. Gamers avoided Macs because there's limited gaming availability in terms of hardware optimization. One would argue this is still an issue today, which is why I'm still on PC. But anyway, Macs were seen as niche products for creative professionals in industries like design, publishing, and music production. So while Apple had a loyal fan base, the average consumer didn't see Macs as a viable alternative to PCs. Apple's survival in the PC market seemed bleak. They weren't just losing market share, they were losing relevance. But in 2006, Apple decided to fight back. The iconic "I'm a Mac and I'm a PC" campaign didn't just sell more Macs, it made people care. So what did they do exactly? Apple crafted a series of ads with actor Justin Long playing the Mac as cool, creative, laid back, while another actor, John Hodgman, playing the PC as stiff, old-fashioned, and plagued with problems. It was a classic case of good versus evil, except the evil wasn't some villainous figure, but rather the very platform millions of people use every day. I'll put a link to the video in the description so you can check it out later. But in terms of why it worked, first of all, there's in-group versus out-group bias. People naturally form groups based on shared traits and beliefs. In the book Primal Branding, written by Patrick Henlon, he emphasizes building brands as belief systems. So Apple tapped into two elements from the book. The first one is creed. This represents the brand's core beliefs and values. It articulates why the brand exists in the first place and what it stands for. So this provides a sense of purpose that resonates with consumers. The second one is the pagan or non-believers. This element acknowledges that not everyone supports the belief in the brand. So this identifies non-believers so that you can, as a brand, position yourself much better and clearly communicate that to your consumer. So by positioning the Mac as part of the in-group, the cool, tech-savvy, and creative people, Apple was able to create a sense of belonging. If you bought a Mac, you were joining a community of innovators. On the flip side, the PC became the out-group, the clunky corporate old-school alternative. So this way, Apple didn't just sell computers, they sold an identity. Another thing that happened is familiarity bias. People tend to develop a preference for things simply because they are familiar with them. By representing the two operating systems as characters, Apple allowed consumers to engage with the concept of Mac versus PC in a way that felt more relatable and personal. So basically using human characters rather than abstract concepts or technical details made it much easier for people to grasp the comparison. Another thing is they use education and objection handling with humor. Instead of listing down boring bullet points of specs and facts, Apple addresses concerns with relatable and easy to understand story formats. This makes it so much easier for consumers to digest the information and make it easier for them to make a decision to purchase. Now, while the campaign was widely successful for Apple, it didn't come without its downside. By positioning Microsoft as the enemy, Apple risked alienating potential customers who felt loyal to the PC or the Windows platform. Many felt that the campaign was elitist, portraying PC as outdated and uncool, without really acknowledging the pros, like they have some value and versatility still, right? But here's the thing, Apple didn't mind. There's a famous saying in marketing, when you try to speak to everyone, you speak to no one. You see, this campaign wasn't about winning over everyone. It was about strengthening the relationship with their existing fans and also attracting new ones to be part of their in-group of creative, forward-thinking individuals. Oh, and the sales numbers speak for itself. Mac revenue grew steadily and didn't go back down to the pre-2006 levels. So I guess it's a success, right? Apple didn't just market a product. They marketed an identity. By using storytelling to position the Mac as part of the cool, creative in-group, they transformed consumer perception and made people care. If you want to sell more than just a product, you need to tap into the primal desires of your audience. You need to identify the non-believers, you need to appeal to their identity, and you use familiar examples to make it easier for them to follow along your messaging and your story. By the way, I'm not saying you shouldn't use data and statistics in your storytelling, but if you use the wrong technique, people will just ignore it, which is why you should watch this video next to learn the best way to present data.